we're gonna do a little thing we like to call. Go ahead, J-Ro.
The Fuji corner. You gotta pretend like you have like a big poop coming. It's the Fuji.
Oh boy. So today we're going to talk about film simulations. One of the things that we love about Fujifilm, and that I've done a whole video on I've done a whole video on a single film sim, but now we wanted to talk about just all the film sims that we like and why we like them and what they are good for and where they excel and where they don't. And yeah, so let's get into it. A little love letter to Fujifilm film simulations.
Yeah. Big time, folks. I've mentioned it before, I'm sure, but switching to Fuji, one of the biggest things for me was that I have completely gone away from raw editing. I am no longer sitting on the computer editing, copy pasting, going in Lightroom and moving sliders as a part of my daily workflow. Just picking film simulations in general puts it in a place where honestly you don't really have to do anything, because the Fuji science and color science is so dead on that adjusting it is just it's meaningless. You're literally doing nothing.
I will deign to admit, and you may not even agree with me here, I would deign to admit there are some pictures where I do still want to go into the raw photo and tweak it. So I'm not going to lie and say I always rely on simulations. And there are some times when I'm shooting films and I want the raw footage because I want to edit it. But man, being able to rely on really solid JPEGs and really solid straight out of camera footage is game changing, really.
It truly is, and I don't think you can do this with any other camera company. I don't hear anybody else talking about this. It's actually kind of an untalked about thing. Like, any Fuji fanboy will be on the boat of, yeah, we love film simulations, but just changing your workflow is huge. And it, like Mike says, yeah, maybe you bump the contrast a little. Yeah, maybe you'll bring the highlights down, but you're not going in and fixing color and trying to match skin tones, trying to match true color any of that stuff.
Yeah, and I think that it maybe I'm just trying to trying to nip these comments in the bud because I know we're gonna get some, but maybe you do portraits and you edit raws every time you do a portrait. Nobody's saying you can't.
Right.
So don't tell me that.
Yeah, no, we're not saying not to.
I understand that there are some situations and some people who love doing it and situations where it should be done. We're just talking about you don't have to, which is
you really
great.
Don't have to. Yeah. You really don't. I love that I can just go in and kind of pick my photos and kind of it actually helps me focus more on the actual story itself, and then it gives you more time to do something else. So say instead of sitting at the computer for 3 hours editing, coloring photos, now I can write an article next to the photo.
Yeah, time. I was just I think we were just talking about this the other day because you were talking about music, but time is so important. I mean, we have so limited of it, and if I can get a tool that gives me more time and it lets me make good stuff with what it has, I'm going to use that because
why not?
Time is money, man. Time is time.
That's right.
Time is better than money.
That's right.
Time is more important than money. So, anyway.
So I just want to start by saying that I shoot almost 90% of my photos in Provia. In the actual film simulation, you can actually adjust the contrast, the amount of highlights and shadows, so you can actually go in and fix your sliders the way you like the photos. I've seen people post film simulations that mimic the style of a historic photographer. Like, this is how this photographer used to, develop his film. So we've simulated that through these settings.
That's awesome.
Provia to me is, it just hits colors just the way they are.
You just like that natural verisimilitude.
It just looks like real life.
Looks real, right? Yeah.
It looks real, and sometimes it's too real. Sometimes I'm like, that is too blue. but I'm like, well, it is blue, but I'm like, it's a little too blue, but to me, but at that point, I'm like, well, that's what it looks like, you know. The other big one that a lot of people like to use, I don't use this as much. Classic chrome.
Zoom into that Provia one first, real quick. Can you zoom
All right,
into
we'll
that?
zoom into this Provia.
I want to see it close up.
How do I? Oh, here we go.
So let's talk about what Provia looks like, right? Provia's Provia's got the nice, like pretty heavy contrast, I'd say.
Already contrasty. Again, like we said, colors are dead on. The Fujifilm calls this it's called standard, right? So
yeah.
It doesn't have a look or a filter or an effect of any kind, really.
Right.
Which is why I like it. Since I'm doing mostly documentary work, I want it to be lifelike. I want it.
Right.
I don't want it to look. I don't want it to look edited, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think that what I like about it is it does feel like you're there. It doesn't feel like you set up this photo. It doesn't feel like you edit it. It doesn't feel like you edit it, but it looks right.
And I did it. Hey, there was no editing involved, folks. If you gave this to somebody and, what would they say?
Right, they'd say it looks great.
They'd be like, wow, that looks awesome.
All right, so classic
Let's move
chrome.
over to this next one. Classic chrome. Okay, let's go back and forth a little bit here. Subtle, but different.
Yeah, so there's the desaturation right away, I see.
Straight up.
Sat is down.
Saturation down and kind of a blue silver tint.
Yeah, they kept the blues in and they got kind of rid of the orange. The warmth is gone. So
a lot of people like this. For me, it looks too filter effect for me. But I was telling you that on this particular day, bright sunlight, super bright sunlight, it really does look amazing. Actually,
really, yeah.
I don't like it if you're shooting like dark. If there's some shadows and darkness, it just doesn't work. Especially for skin tones. But when it's the bright sunlight and you want that moody tone, I think that's what classic chrome is good for.
Yeah, it is moody. I think that's a good way to put it. It's really it's moody.
Gives it some mood here. Let's zoom out so we can get both the Provia and the classic chrome together.
Yeah, Provia just feels warmer, feels more inviting. Classic chrome feels more. I mean, I think it's great that it's called classic chrome. It does look classic, And I guess it's based on their slide film.
Okay.
So I don't know what that means. I mean, I've actually never shot slide film, but
people love it. People love it. I mean,
I've heard a lot of people that shoot it. Yeah,
they just shoot classic chrome. Again, I think like you said, moody, subdued,
right,
desaturated, just. That orange is gone out of that.
That would look really good actually in like overcast. I bet on an overcast day, classic chrome would look really cool.
Agreed.
Okay, cool.
And then the other big one that everybody shoots now, and that I know, but there's nobody that doesn't like this film simulation. And,
Acros is amazing.
It is just a ridiculous black and white. I don't know what it is about it, but.
It's crunchy, but it's detailed.
The grays are good. The shadow to highlights is good.
It really looks great.
It's just a solid black and white, and I know everyone. You shoot color, change it to black and white, this and that. I don't know. All their film simulations just have some life and specialty to them. That to me is they're huge.
I need to get more into black and white because I don't really know. Like, you can do the settings under the black and white. That's like you can do it where it's more the yellows or it's more the greens and more the blues. And I know the blues, like if you do a black and white landscape, you can bring the blues out by doing the blue one and the sky kind of pops.
Right.
But
right.
I need to. I would love. Yeah, right. I would love to. I would love to mess with that more.
Maybe we'll do an Acros episode. Where we
That'd be
kinda
great.
Go around and fuck with Acros.
That'd be great.
Let's just do one more. That's
Sure.
That's got the 3. The
Yeah,
other
let's-
big one, VELVIA.
Yeah, let's see that.
VELVIA is just oversaturated to me.
Yeah,
most of the
I
time.
can't see this picture you picked for it is great.
Yeah, so it's obviously anything that's color. Okay, so VELVIA I think was used mostly for landscape photographers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But to me, it just doesn't look as lifelike. But I mean,
Well,
this photo looks pretty good.
It's
in
doing
VELVIA.
what it's doing nice here is you've got so little color around.
Right.
He since he's so oversaturated. Like go to the Provia version.
Yeah, I'll go to the Provia.
I mean,
Not-
looks similarly saturated, I guess, but just a little bit less. He pops just more off of the VELVIA one, which I think works well.
Yeah, the blues just look everything. The colors themselves look more contrasty, if that makes any sense.
Yes, color contrast, yeah, for sure, is much
Yeah.
higher. It's nice. It's nice. I think it works well. If you have like a one color thing within like a very desaturated
Yeah.
surrounding, that could be a great one to make it pop even more. And again, this is something where you go, oh, well, I could just boost the saturation in post. But why would you when they've already figured it out for you?
Dude, just do it. And actually, the way I shot this was a trick that Mike showed me, and I just was in bracket. You pick 3 film simulations, and it takes a photo of each simulation that you want.
So I use this because on the XH1, one of my criticisms is that the bracket is that the standard shooting mode is all the way on the other side of the throw of the thumb throw. So there's the movie on one end, and then you got to go almost all the way to the other end to get to the standard. I'm not doing that. I want to be able to hybrid shoot by shooting video and then jumping to a photo. So I just move it over to bracket, and I have my bracket set to 3 film simulations. And I think it's like, I think I have mine set to like Eterna, Provia, and Acros. So
Done.
yeah, it's great. It's great. And then I just go in and I go, ooh, this looks good at Provia. This looks good at Eterna. So
Yeah, just to wrap up the photography part of film simulations, it's hard to give up raw, and it's hard to think, oh, but you can, what if you mess up? Raw was there because
right.
you could bring back the highlights, you could bring back the shadows.
Right.
But guys, we're shooting EVF. If you're still messing up your exposures, there's something wrong, because it gives you the exposure. So
Right.
there's literally nothing wrong with it. And I actually I shoot raw and JPEG, and I stash my raws, but I honestly never even look at them.
But that's the thing. That's the thing, right? Is that like we're not saying you necessarily like you have to switch over completely.
No.
You can shoot. The best part about Fujifilm is you can shoot both. And if you just look at if you just add the JPEGs to your workflow and go, hey, maybe I'll look at the JPEGs first. Mm-hmm. Maybe you'll like it right there, and you won't have to go into the raw, because I think sometimes people go into the raw and they get a little too crazy. I mean, obviously, if you know what you're doing, you're fine. You get subtle. You do subtle changes here and there.
Yeah.
Some people go fucking nuts and try to do the HDR look on everything, and highlights cranked all the way down, shadows cranked all the way up, clarity cranked all the way up, and it looks insane. It looks insane. So take a look at the JPEGs first. Add it to your workflow. Might save you some time.
That's the biggest thing. We said it already, but guys, not having to sit at the computer more than I have to is a game
great.
changer.
Yeah, and for weddings, if you're saying you're delivering JPEGs, you're just making more money per hour because you can just deliver the JPEGs and do little tweaks.
Nobody likes editing. Come on, guys. If you like editing, I don't know who you are.
I mean, some people probably do, but not me.
I don't know. Photo editing is very tedious.
It is. It's fiddly. Okay, so I did video. Now I'm going to admit, I think Eterna is the one I shoot on almost 100% of the time.
God,
I did like
so good.
I did like 4 shots in each one. So this is the Eterna set series.
It looks just filmy.
So that shot's not great, but what I liked about that shot was it takes the highlights really nice. So look at the highlights in that shot. It like it's really bright on that little like crane. It's super bright on that crane, but it kind of rolls those highlights nice and softly. It's really good.
It's kind of crazy. You can kind of see the yellow bouncing off into the light there.
Right. So yeah, keep going. So it's just very, it's very soft. So the big thing about Eterna is the shadows. Yeah, there's me sitting here. The big thing about Eterna is the shadows are brought up, so you don't lose anything in the shadows, which I think is that's just really what makes Eterna great.
It's that milky, guys.
It's a little bit milky, just a little bit.
Just a little.
So then we go into Provia. So then I went back to Provia. So Eterna's at the end of the list, but I went back to Provia. Provia looks great. I mean, especially even in video, Provia looks really nice.
Again, this is their standard.
It's a little too crunchy for me. Like I don't like it as contrasty, especially on these wider shots. I feel like the contrast kind of hurts the cinematic feel of it.
Yeah, I was gonna say this shot in particular for some reason. The first one was like, okay, cool, that looks like a movie still.
Yeah, I think like
now
close-up,
I'm looking at it.
Close-up shots look great, but when you look at like these wide shots, it's just too saturated. It just doesn't look like a film. It looks like. Well, I think the problem is I love it in pictures, but in video it looks kind of amateur. It can kind of look a little bit amateur when you're shooting on Provia. So, and I would suggest, I told J-Roll this we'll keep going, but when we were shooting Little Haiti, you shot on the neg, neg standard, which you can get that to look kind of close to Eterna if you turn the shadows up a little bit. So that's a good fix for that if you do shoot with the XT2.
Yeah, maybe Michael do a little tutorial vid on how to do that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And this Provia one I did for I'll do it on the XH1, but it's for the XT2 because it doesn't have Eterna.
Right.
The XT3 obviously has Eterna, so your problem solved. This Provia one, though, of me, go to me, the next shot, which is me sitting there. So I think it actually kind of looks good in this situation because it's more of a portrait shot. And if you jump back to the Eterna version, which is probably like 20 seconds. No.
I got it. I'm there.
So like the Eterna version looks super desaturated compared to it. So now I'm like, maybe, when I'm shooting these casts.
Yeah. I think maybe because it's like just the setting, like you said, like.
Right.
It's like this first shot. Like that is a movie. That's a movie. I mean,
shot,
it
looks great.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a B-roll for
and it's
a film.
It's those highlights, right? Because like the sun is so bright in the shot, but it doesn't blow it out completely.
Yeah. So just going back and forth from this. Oops, I want my mic to look like that. Yeah, I would agree. I think maybe because it's like talking head it looks good like that. And
I'm lighting it, which I think works. If you're lighting the subject, maybe the Provia will work really well. When you're doing natural outside, I think Eterna can't be beat. So, so then VELVIA, it's just really, you're right, it just saturates the shit out of it. And for some of these,
so green.
These wide shots are just crazy. Like, look at that wide shot of the...
It's so teal down here.
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't like it for video at all. I'm going to be honest. Like this shot looks like I don't like it for photos either. This shot looks like shit.
Guys, we talk about the film simulations being awesome, but it sounds like we're both in agreement that VELVIA is not one that we like. It's only because it's super saturated. Like, I like images to look lifelike or cinematic. Right, so saturation is kind of out. Like,
right.
I feel like saturation is when you first start in either. You think, I want stuff to look saturated.
I want colors. I want it to pop. I want
colors to look so good.
Right. I agree.
There's like there's so many tones in your face in this one now with the VELVIA.
Is just not right for skin tones, unfortunately.
The way big is so good. All right, Astia. Astia is it was made actually. This is their portrait one. This is supposed to give soft skin tones.
It looks pretty good in that first one. It looks okay in all of these actually. It actually looks all right.
Yeah, it does look good.
And it looks good on me. My skin tone on me looks great.
Yeah. See, guys, that's what it was made for. So maybe
we'll
be shooting Astia for the cast.
Maybe these casts should be Astia. They look great.
That looks really good.
I got to admit.
That does look.
I got to admit.
Let me go from Astia to. Okay, there's Eterna.
To Eterna.
Wait, here's oh shit. Okay, here's Astia. Here's Eterna. Too much. Where's Provia? Okay, there's Provia. God damn it. There's Astia. Yeah, I don't know. Nice. That Astia does look really good right there.
Yeah, I think the Eterna skin tones look great, but they just don't. Maybe the skin tones don't pop as much as they do on Astia, so it's kind of a question of that for sure.
I think this first shot that you did is just really good. All the shots have looked pretty good in this. That flowing leaf. Classic chrome.
Yeah, right.
Definitely blue. Still looks pretty good though.
I don't know. It's the highlights though. Look at the highlights on that wide shot of the intersection.
Go back. Oops. Yeah, kind of weird.
They're they kind of clip.
A little muddy.
A little bit weird. They're a little muddy. They're a little. Yeah, I don't love it for wide with brights, but on me it kind of looks. Also kind of looks moody.
There's something about the shadows in classic chrome. I don't think it was made for shadows. It has to be kind of flat lighting, like you said, like overcast.
Overcast, mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And then finally,
you did another one. Which one is this one? Oh, Acros, of course. Acros is fucking killer, guys.
So I need a reason to shoot a black and white movie because it looks so good.
Look at that. That intersection shot is nice on Acros.
The intersection shot looks great. I need to shoot a black and white movie.
Waving is so
it looks so moody.
It's so good.
It looks so good on me too. Man, it's great.
Maybe we can do a short with the black and white. All right, Mike. Why don't you wrap up? Okay, so you already mentioned why you think Eterna is better, but as far as film simulations and video go, what are the benefits and what do you?
I think there's no reason to shoot anything really other than Eterna, because Eterna not only looks great, but takes, like I said in my other video, takes contrast and brightness and highlight adjustment pretty well, especially when you're shooting at like the super high 200 megabit data rate. Yeah. So, but I think that you can have some fun with, especially with if you're shooting an interview, maybe something like Astia is going to look more corporate if you're shooting a corporate thing, or more pop a little bit better for a model if you're shooting a model or something. Like a makeup ad, maybe that's more what they're looking for. It might be worthwhile when you're like looking to shoot something to like do tests with them, and maybe you'll find something that will give them the look they want, and you don't have to do any editing, even if to Eterna, So, but I'd say like 98% of the time, I'm just going to be turning it on Eterna and going. So,
yeah, and again, our whole reason is just time. I think that's the biggest factor for these film simulations. You will gain your life back to do other things other than sitting down at a computer and fixing color, attempting to fix it. The colors are down.
Yeah. It's one thing if you're trying to develop a look for the film or for the photo,
Agreed.
But fixing color, nobody wants to do. Don't shoot a camera that requires you to remove a teal cast.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you,
Sony. I guess that's it for today.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Let us know if you have what's your favorite film simulation, guys? Is it one that we didn't cover? Do you want us to cover one? Do you want us to look at one? We can go. I think we'll eventually end up going more deeply into some of these because I think Astia. Just looking at Astia now, I kind of like want to figure out where I want to use Astia.
We'll do it more.
And maybe that's something that I'll look into.
More detailed and separate. We could probably do a couple of videos on that.
For sure. Yeah.
Make sure you like, dislike, subscribe, follow us on
like it
Instagram.
if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't, and subscribe please because we're on a roll. Let's get some more views. Let's get some more subscribers. Yeah, and go to Instagram. We're gonna put we put some stuff up there that we don't put on YouTube and stuff. So, and we've got some new stuff coming. So stay tuned. We've got a trailer for a doc in the works, and we've got a few things.
Yeah, we've got this new thing that we're calling a ride along. We did a.
Ooh, I'm excited for that video.
Did a test.
Don't tell them too much.
Yeah, we did a test.
Don't tell them too much.
We won't tell you anything.
Dude,
other
this
than
one's
what it's called. Hopefully,
this is a hot take. We're gonna be doing more of these for sure.
Yeah.
This thing was fun to watch for me. So yeah.
Okay. Double peace.
All right. Peace, guys. Thank you.